What's going on, everybody? This is Garry B. Jr., and today I'm excited to talk to you about how to use Companion by Bitfocus with FreeShow and a little bit of OBS if you have it. Now, this is helpful if you want to do a live stream. This is helpful if you want to just streamline your workflow as a one-man band or just a small media team in a ministry or on any setting for a meeting that you're actually running the production. So let's jump into it and see what it takes to set up FreeShow with Companion and using OBS as well. And I'll show you my setup that I use because I had an issue with managing my live stream individually while I'm doing tutorials and training and talking with my YouTube audience. And I believe this is the best solution for me. So right now I'm recording this on OBS and you're seeing exactly what I wanted to do and what I plan to do for my future live streams. And so this is my particular setup. So let's look at it real quick here. All right. And so this is the live stream setup for me to show my talking head plus sharing my screen. What you're looking at is my FreeShow program and my OBS program. And in order for this process to work, you do need to open up FreeShow and you do need to open up OBS. That's step one, along with Bitfocus Companion. All right. And so Bitfocus looks like this. Let's see here. All right, so this is what the Bitfocus interface looks like. And what you would do is you select the option that says Launch GUI, and that just stands for Guided User Interface. And I'm going to go ahead and hide that. And when you do the launch, what you're going to get is something that looks like this. All right, now I have an ATEM setup, an OBS, obviously OBS window, and then also a FreeShow window open. Now ATEM, the ATEM, my Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro ISO is actually unplugged right now. But if I were to plug it up, a green checkbox. And if I refresh my screen, oh, I don't even have to refresh. It automatically shows up right there for you. All right. So this is the interface for using this particular program. So let's just go into a full screen mode so you can see this completely without there being an issue. So let's maximize this. All right. And so what you're looking at here is a lot of different tabs here. You got some options on the left side. What I would recommend doing is I'm going to put a link in my description to the gentleman that I looked at to learn how to set up this particular program, Bitfocus Companion, and he was really helpful in getting all the setup prepared for me to get to this point here. So I would just recommend go check out his video. It's really helpful, and he does a good job of giving you clarity on what settings to select and all that good stuff. But once you get here, right, you're going to be looking at these first two tabs more than anything. So you got connections, buttons, and then you got a few others with variables, triggers, and all that good stuff. But I'm going to go to this option that says connections. And we see here, you would go to the right side and you would type in free show and you would see the free show apps and you would just hit add like I've done here. You'll see it pop up on the left. And then the same way, if you have OBS, you would type it in and you would see OBS Studio and you would see that pop up when you select the add option on the right side there. Now, um, if you were to go to the next tab, the buttons tab, all right. So you got all that there. This is where the bread and butter of Bitfocus is. But before we get here, I'm going to show you some things. So I got 2 pages, but don't worry about that. The next step, once you get these 2 programs downloaded, you get it all situated. The next step is to set up your free show application. So let's go to free show. All right. And we got free show here on the left side. And what I'll do is I'll maximize that as well. So we got free show here and we're going to go to our settings in free show. And in our settings, we're going to go to the option that says connection. And this last option under connection says API, WebSocket, REST, OSC companion. We want to make sure that is active. That's very important. All right. So we're going to activate the companion WebSocket. All right. And then after we do that, we're going to go into OBS and do similar to the same thing. All right. So if we go to OBS, We're here in OBS. I'll maximize that as well. And we're going to go up to the top. We're going to go to Tools, and we're going to select the option that says WebSocket Server Settings. And here you want to make sure that you have it enabled. All right. You can make note of all this good stuff here, but Companion should be able to find it just fine just because of this. All right. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to bring this back to here. And let's pull this back down as well to where it was. All right. So we've got everything set up in terms of everything's open and everything can talk to each other right now. So Companion is found, OBS is found FreeShow because I've activated WebSocket on both of those particular programs. All right. The next step. Now we've got to set up our Bitfocus Companion so that we can get everything working properly in terms of buttons and things like that. And so we're going to go back into Companion or Bitfocus, and the first tab we went to was connections. We're in the second tab now called buttons. All right. And typically what you're going to see is this setup that looks almost like a Stream Deck, but a Stream Deck will not be necessary for this. I'm literally using and doing all this and running it from just an iPad that looks like this, which is exactly what you see on the screen there. And so I would recommend, if you don't have a Stream Deck, don't be discouraged. You can still set this up. You can run it from a remote computer that's on the same network, because it runs through the browser. And that's all I have on my iPad. I'm just on Google Chrome, and I just typed in the IP for what you look at on the left side here. It's called Web Buttons. All right. And I can just scroll down and you'll see exactly the same setup that I have on my iPad here. And it's just at this IP address. All right. On the network. All right. So now we got that ready to set up a button. How do you set up a button? Well, the only thing you have to do is literally just click on the button. So you can click on an empty button. You'll see them labeled here. And we can, so this one is 2 rows down and fourth one from the left. And it'll pop up on the right side, this option that says create button. All right. When you do that, you're going to get an option to label the button, which is called the button text string. And so this is where you would put in the label for your button. And you can call this, I'm just going to say this is a FreeShow button. All right. Now, however long or short it is completely up to you, but you get to set the size of the fonts and customize that so I can make it completely fit. Let's see, if I do it at 18, it's too big. 14 looks fine for me. I can change the color of the text, and I can make the text be yellow, and I can make the background be royal blue or something like that. All right. And you can change the arrangement and the alignment and all that good stuff. The next step we're going to go to, we're going to keep all this the same. We're not going to mess with the progress or the rotary actions. We're going to go down to the step 1 option or step 1 tab. And it says the press action and release action. We're going to focus on the press action. I've not set up anything under the release action, but that literally is what it sounds like. If you press the button, it determines what it does. But then when you let it go, it determines something else, right? So if you put another action down here, when you let that button go, it's going to do something else. Okay. So you can hold it. Basically, it's almost like a hold button, and then you can release it and it'll go back maybe to what it was at or something like that. So the press actions on the right side, you're going to see a red folder. Go ahead and click that red folder. And in that red folder, you're going to see all the different connections you've got. Internal is kind of like a basic default one. FreeShow is when we added ATEM and OBS. We're going to start with FreeShow. So if you were using FreeShow and you're using this as an advanced user, okay, because this is an advanced process, what I'm going to encourage you to do as of today, okay, this is April, next to last week of April. My recommendation is to, and this is 2025, by the way. My recommendation is to go to the option that says custom API message. Now you're going to see a lot of different default options here. So these are all good. Don't get it wrong. These are all good. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with them. But in order to configure our button, my recommendation, because all of these can be done with a custom API message that we're going to use called run action. All right. And that run action is going to come from FreeShow. And in order for us to do any of these, we can do all of these particular settings, I believe, with just an action. All right. And so that's what I learned was the best way for me to use this particular process. So let me show you what I got. So I'm going to hit done. And instead of using this button, I'm going to throw that away. I'm just going to clear that button out. This will clear for button 224. So I'll clear that out. And I'm going to go to one that I've actually got here. So let's look at this one here. It says talking head. And the API ID is here. It's called run action. Now I'm using OBS at the same time. So I've got a button that does two different things at the same time. When I press this button, the press action, there's an OBS set the program scene to Garry headshot. And then I've got a FreeShow custom API message, which the ID of it is run action. And that literally just means an action in FreeShow. All right. So it's going to run an action that I dictate. And it's got this ID number or ID code. And then it's got the actual numbers associated with the ID for that particular action. So this is my recommendation for the simplest way as an advanced user, because if you're an advanced user of FreeShow, you know how to make your actions do whatever you want. For me, that was the most the simplest way to make this work. So I'm going to use this particular process before I pick any of the other APIs that are there that are, like next slide and all that kind of stuff, which are nice, but I'd rather just make that happen in FreeShow. So let me show you how that works in FreeShow. So if we go back over and we're going to go to show and we're going to go to functions and we're in actions. All right. And here you'll see a list of all of my actions. All right. And let's go here. I'm looking at my notes, make sure I don't forget anything. All right. So we're looking at all of our actions and we're almost done with these steps here, but we're going to look at all of our actions, and all these actions, you name them whatever you want. So you got your name to whatever you want them to be. And that's going to be important because we're going to go into our settings. We're going to go to other at the bottom left. And we're going to select the option that says backup everything. All right. When you select backup everything, what happens is FreeShow automatically backs up everything. And what it does is it gives you a folder or a file, I should say, that lists all those different IDs that I showed you for your actions that you're going to need. So when you do that, it's going to open up, or you're going to open up, I should say, your backups. And this is my backup from today. And you're going to go to the actual file called synced settings. All right. And when you go to sync settings, it's going to bring up something that looks like this. Now, this for me looks like a bunch of gibberish. All right. It's a bunch of gibberish, right? So what you would do is you can, I'm going to make this so it covers it up a little bit so you don't see a bunch of extra stuff. All right. So you've got all this stuff here in terms of this big text file with, it's a JSON file, but it opens up in text editor on Mac, and on the Windows, it'll open up as a text document, I believe, as well. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into FreeShow. We're going to look at the names. All right. So let's say I wanted to do one that was stop. I got to stop audio. So let me right click on stop audio. Let's see what it does. Edit. And this one changes volume. All right. I don't want that. I want one that actually just clears it out. So that's a music shortcut, clear audio. Let's go look at that one. Edit. And this one literally just clears out the audio. All right. So I'm going to close that and we're going to play some audio. And this would be like my little background music for now. So I'm going to go to audio and let's look at, so I got some audio here. So we got this here. If I press play, let's see. There we go. It's playing through. All right. Pull that down so it's not overriding me. Let's see. We'll pull it down here as well. All right. Now we've got this music. I'm going to pause it for now. So in FreeShow, you got music that plays, you got your different parts of each slide that you've got. So you got your background, you got your slide text, you got your overlays, and you got your music, or audio, I should say. We're going to actually look for the action that says clear audio in that big old list of text information. So let's go back to our text file, and we're going to do a search. All right. So I'm just going to hit Command F on a window on an Apple computer, and I'm going to type in clear audio. And you'll see that only one of those exists, and that must be the name of our action. And they're all at the bottom typically. So you'll know if you're all the way at the bottom, you'll see that particular action name. It says clear audio. But right before it, you'll see this ID number, right? And that's what you want. All right. So we got this ID number that we're going to copy that out. And what I recommend you do is just make a copy of all this and make a Google Doc or something like that that has a list of all of your actions that you want to use in Companion, and just use them period, so you can have that list and you can just automatically do this pretty easily from Companion. All right. So what I would do is if I wanted to make a button that says clear audio, I would go to, and I've got one here somewhere. I got clear topic. I got stop music. We'll do one here. We'll just call it clear audio, create button, clear audio. And instead of hitting this, you can hit this little white box here and it's going to give you your recently used items. We're going to hit the red folder. We're going to go to FreeShow. We're going to select the custom API message. Remember, this is the one I recommend. There's a lot more of them there, but we're going to select the option that we're going to use, and it is called run action. Now, where did I get this idea for run action? Let me show you. If you go here into the FreeShow website and go to the resources page, this is how you find this right now, at least. And so you go to tools at the very bottom and you'll see an option that says FreeShow API. What that does is it takes you to a page. All right. And this page has a list of every API that you can use in FreeShow. And if you go through, you'll see one for projects, you'll see them for shows, presentations, stage, clear, media, overlays, audio, all kinds of things. But my favorite, as I said, is the run action. And it literally just is that. It makes your action button get pressed. All right. And it looks like this. It's called run action with an underscore in between, all lowercase. And then this has an ID and a string. So if we go back into Companion, I'm going to type in the API ID, which was run underscore action. All right. And when I type that in, I've got my API ID, and then we need to put the name in. And so that name is going to come from here. All right. So the run action is this. So I'm actually going to clear out my clipboard, but I'll copy this and then we'll put in our action ID afterwards. All right. So we're going to paste this into here. And this is what we got. So we got this run action. I'm going to delete that. You don't want any space in between or before that, I should say. So you just need the curly parentheses or curly brackets, the quotation mark, the letters I and D, and then another quotation and a colon. The word string should not be in there anywhere. You literally need to replace it with your code for your action. So let's look at that. If we go into our text editor, we've got that code here. I'm going to copy that again, and it's just the one that's next to clear audio. And I'm going to paste it here. And now you have a new action in Companion that clears your audio. All right. As I said before, you can make this button look however you want it to look. Maybe you want it to be, we'll say, black text with a white background to make it stand out. Okay. So we got our button. Let's test it out. All right. And what we'll do to test it out is we'll go here. So we got our clear audio. It automatically updates real time because it's all on the same network. Remember, all these have to be connected on the same network. So I'm on a MacBook Pro here. I got an iPad here, and everything's running connected to the same network. So I'm going to go back here and we're going to start that music back up. And let's go to play it. All right. So you can hear that. We're going to go here to clear audio. And it gets cleared out. I've got my audio on a fade, and so that's why it takes a little while for it to fade out. But that is as simple as it is to set up your buttons in Bitfocus Companion. Now, the other way we can do this, we went over here to our web buttons here, and it opened up a new tab. You can also just hit the test button. This is what I would recommend before you finalize and think you've got your button ready by just pasting everything in. Test it out by doing that. So we'll go back, we'll start the music back up. We're going to click the word test, this yellow button at the top. And there it goes. It clears the audio out. All right. So this is my recommendation, at least to date. Okay. This is April 2025 of how to use Companion with FreeShow. And all of this that I've got is set up to where it actually does multiple things, not just in FreeShow, but in OBS as well. So I've got an option that says um, talking head, as I told you earlier. And what that does is it shows this scene in uh, OBS, and then it shows this action here from my free show. All right. And then I've got another one that says split screen show. All right. And that one, if we click it, let's see here. If we go to OBS and I actually click the split screen show, it literally clears out that particular overlay and puts it into uh, the actual window here that I'm looking at with you guys. Look over here. So right down there, where we at? Where we at? Right down there. Right. So it put that little overlay down there. If I say split screen share, what it does is it puts that overlay on the outside of this window that I'm in. All right. And that's me navigating through it. Then I can just do full screen and it literally keeps that overlay there, but it shows a full screen of my particular screen or window that I'm sharing. All right. And that is all with the click of one button, but it's doing multiple things. So if I go back and I show you what I'm doing in um, the companion app, I just hit the split screen share, my pink button here. And what it does, when you select it, you'll see that it does changes the scene to be a Free Show Friday split screen share. This is what I named it. All right. And that's the name of the scene. And then it does something in Free Show. It runs this action. And then it also does this API ID here. This one is just a start show action, right? So it's run action is one of the APIs that I'm running. And then this one's just a start show. So it actually starts my background show. And my background show literally is the record. It actually shows whatever's on my main screen in Free Show, which is connected to OBS through NDI. And it's showing that on OBS. It allows me to record it and or stream it for you guys. So it's doing three things with the press of one button. And that to me is the magic of using Companion with FreeShow and OBS. Hopefully, you can find some good use out of using Companion. But remember, this is an advanced feature. Now, if you want the step-by-step guide that I used to walk you through this particular video, go to my website, GaryBJr.com, and you can find the download for this advanced media toolkit. This is a step-by-step for using Companion with FreeShow and OBS. Hopefully this helps you in your ministry, and it's a blessing to you to simplify your workflow. But make sure to check out the website, the gentleman that I mentioned earlier that I showed on the screen here down below, and check out how to set up your companion because he did a great job to help me get started. And I want you to go to his site or his channel to see it just like I did. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.